Hello, welcome. This is the watercolour we're doing today. You can see the trees in the background. Nice reflection there into that body of water. Just some clouds there, very subtle clouds. So we start off as usual with our drawing. Sorry about that camera shake there, I just bumped it really badly. And you can see there the trees in the background. Got a little bit of a hut there, but we decided in the end not to put the hut in there. So anyway, we could always do that later if we wanted to, but I'm just wetting the sky just with some clear water. A bit too much water just there, I'll take that away. So wetting the sky now just with some clean clear water. And we'll add some a mixture of Payne's grey and ultramarine blue. A very light wash. Very light. Okay, so we'll let that dry just a little bit. Now over the top, we will put some Payne's grey and ultramarine blue, a much heavier mix. You can see I've got some, there's more ultramarine blue than Payne's grey in there. In this mix that I'm putting on now. So it's wet on wet paper, wet on wet. Just for this here. We'll extend that that cloud cover just over a little bit. And this will fade back somewhat. But I don't think we need to go over that. I think that's okay. So we'll let that dry. Just work on the top just a little bit. I think that's basically it. We'll just leave that, I think. Let that dry. So that's it dry now. We're just going to paint some trees. There's some olive green going on the tree now. This area where we've penciled out for a tree. We're going to go over these trees again because I know this is going to fade back and I want the trees to be fairly dark. I want a good contrast with the tree, so I want them to be fairly dark. So I'm going to go around this little shed, which we're not going. Well, we end up not putting the shed in the end, but there is space for me to do that later if I really want to. Down the track, I can add the shed in there with a bit of a red roof or something like that. just a bit of a lighter green. This is sort of a sap green, but I don't know, some of that will be covered up anyway later. I'm just trying something out here. Don't be afraid to experiment, and if you don't like it, you can always go over it. And more of the sap, rather the olive green in here. Just a very light mix here of some Payne's grey and a tiny bit of olive green, as a fairly light mixture here. As I said, we're just trying things out. We may go over this area that I'm just painting here with a darker green. We'll see how we go. And see how the painting is looking, and then we'll make our mind up as the painting progresses what we should be doing. Bit of a lighter green in there, but don't know whether we'll leave it like that. Payne's grey in there in some parts. I've just tilted the board up there just to let it run back a bit. And I'm just bringing some of this back a bit by mopping this up with a fairly dry brush. Just a bit. So with some Australian dark leaf green, just painting around under the trees here. Just putting some stronger colour in areas on this tree here. So that's the Australian darkleaf green going on now in areas. I'm painting on A4 size 100% cotton watercolour paper. Going to darken up some areas through here. And that will dry or fade back. So again, we'll have to go over those trees again with another wash or another go over with some Australian darkleaf green over those three big trees in the background, because I want them to be, as I said before, I want them to be fairly dark. I want them to be a really good contrast to the body of water which is in the foreground. And also that sky in the background, which is a fairly light sky apart from the cloud. So just put some vibrant green on there, and I'll go over that with some yellow ochre. Not overly strong, just some yellow ochre in parts there. So you can still see the green through the yellow ochre. We'll be working on this riverbank and putting different colours on, and we'll be doing that until we feel that we've got it right, or that it looks okay. A little bit of burnt sienna on there now. We'll keep working on the riverbank until I think it's okay. So we'll keep experimenting and putting some different colours on. Here we go with some more burnt sienna in through there. And I'm just following the pencil line around, because you'll see the body of land coming around to the foreground. It'll be sort of framing the water a bit there. Soften that off a bit there. We want the land to come around this way. So that will frame our body of water there. And we'll work on this as well. Going back to the left-hand side, a bit more yellow ochre in places. Some sap, SAP, some sap green, just swishing it through in some areas along here. Bring that sap green through, just very lightly through here. Okay. Some light yellow in some areas. Looks okay. I think we need some stronger colour though. This is on the edge of the bank. I'm using a burnt umber just there right now. Here I'm using some Australian dark leaf green. And I want to make it fairly strong along the edge of the riverbank, or that where the body of water is. Might be a lake. So we're still to work on that riverbank on the left hand and on the right hand side. Here we're going to have a row of trees in the distance. Just add some different shades of green, a very bright, vivid green in there amongst the olive green. And we've got a big tree on the right hand side that we'll be putting in fairly soon as well. I'm just bringing that back a bit so it doesn't look like just a stark line sitting there. I want it to blend into the riverbank. And I'm just bringing some detail down into the water a bit. You can see those trees in the background there. I'm going to have to darken them up a little bit. Those trees, those three big trees, I need some more colour on those trees too, to darken them up. So that was just a bit of Payne's grey put on that little line of trees in the background. I'm just bringing this back now. Putting some more of this vivid green in areas. There we go, you can just see on the left hand side I've just darkened up the trees there, bringing them down a bit. Now on the right hand side, as you can see, I'm putting a fairly large tree here, and this is, I'm using just Payne's grey here, and I'm going to bring that back with with another paintbrush, and then I will put some Australian dark leaf green in areas on it after it dries back. Just in places. A bit of a wash there of some ultramarine blue, very, very light wash, and there's a little bit of Payne's grey in with that as well, but just a light wash. And then I'm going to put just some ultramarine blue and nothing else, just in the foreground there as well. I want to keep it nice and light back there because I want you can see how the sky is whitish below the clouds, so I want that reflected in the water as well. Now I need a stronger mix of ultramarine blue, not too strong, but enough so you can see that different colour, getting a bit bluer there in the foreground. So just there, just in areas there, I think that'll do. We're just bringing that tree back again like I said I would. Just using a damp, washing it out with clean water, drying it off as much as we can with a paper towel, and while the brush is fairly dry but still damp, just bringing this tree back a bit. And we'll let that dry, and then we'll go over that with some little bit of dark leaf green, not over the entire tree on the right hand side, but just in some areas. Okay, we're going to start with the reflection of those trees, those bigger trees, and we're going to have to keep going over this because this is a fairly light wash here. I just want to see what's happening, and then we'll go over it again, make it a lot darker. Because if I just left it like that, it would fade right back, and I want it to be the reflection to be fairly bold. So with watercolour paints, as we keep saying, you need to perhaps apply them more strongly than what you think they should be going on as, because they will fade back. And you will find yourself at times having to put another layer on just to strengthen the paint up. Just to make it more intense. As you can see, I'm really, in some areas it's really going on very, very intensely, the colour there. This is Australian dark leaf green. And as I'm going, you can already see, because the paper is still damp, and that's okay. I want the paper to be fairly damp. I just don't want it to mushroom out right across the paper. So it's not saturated, it's just damp, the paper. You can see I'm going over that again. And I'll do this a few times. So it's starting to look okay. We've still got more work to do on that reflection as we add more paint to the area, just to make it nice and strong. working on this riverbank over here. A little bit of yellow ochre there. Just experimenting. We want to darken, really, when you think about it, we want this riverbank in the foreground to be darkened a fair bit. As a contrast to that body of water. So I'm putting a bit of a reflection here. At this stage, I'm using some Payne's Grey. And I think it works here because it's sort of reflecting, you know, the darkness of that riverbank there, which we will darken up, and also that fairly big tree on the right-hand side. There's some reflection of that coming, or as a part of this reflection in the water. That big tree on the right-hand side is adding to this reflection a bit. And we'll soften the edges back on that reflection a little bit as well. Tilting the board there, just letting some paint just run a bit. Now we need to work on that reflection there a little bit as well. So we'll go get some paint and we'll continue working on that reflection. Strengthening, getting more intense colour in there with the Australian dark leaf green. You can see how the colour we put on previously, how it's faded back quite a bit. So we're just intensifying the colour again now. And I want to work on those three big trees up the top as well. I just want to bring it out a bit and a little bit higher as well to match that reflection. Just working on that riverbank on the right-hand side. Some Australian dark leaf green, just running it through in some areas there. As I said, I wanted to darken that riverbank up there on the right-hand side. And we'll still got a little bit more work to do on it. Some sap green going in there in places. We'll keep going with it. Australian dark leaf green again. I'm bringing this tree a little higher and I want it to go out to the right hand side. a bit as well, that tree. There we go. But you can see why I want this to be a lot darker. I want a lot more contrast in here because the sun's coming in from behind those trees. And so we've got very good reflection there in the water in front of us. Now just with a damp brush and a flathead, just a flat brush, right on the edge of the brush, I've wet the brush, cleaned it off with a paper towel, and just dragging it through the paint here. Just very gently, very carefully. And I'll extend that line out into the water as well. I mean into the area without reflection. We'll extend that line out a bit. There's one line there. Now just carefully, we'll bring that line, we don't want it to be too strong, but we'll just bring that line out into the water, into the area of water without reflection. Just take it out a bit further. Doing the same here. It's virtually just dragging the some of that paint that's already there into the lighter area of water. Okay, going over this with some a little bit of vivid green. We still need to darken that up on the right hand side quite a bit. Same with the left hand side, we'll make that just a bit darker as well. Just in some areas. Just dragging this back up through the riverbank here. Dark leaf green going in along here. Going to strengthen up these little trees down here in the reflection. Another line there, but I want this to be just some colour there on the, you know how you sometimes see reflection on the top of the water there? So just some sort of a, I don't know, a greeny reflection there on the water. That will do. So getting some white gouache, I'm just going to run a couple of lines through here. I don't know if I like that. We might just go over that a bit, I think. Some white gouache there too. I think we'll need to go over that a bit, just in areas. So here we go, just with a little bit of dark leaf green just in some areas, running it through that white there. Now with some more Payne's grey, I'm just fixing up this tree just a little bit. We will be adding a bit of dark leaf green on this tree as well. Just fixing up this reflection. Softening the edges there a bit. Working on the edge of this riverbank. Just some grasses, a few bits and pieces of grass. Just scratching on a little bit of Australian dark leaf green in some spots. Yeah, I don't know if I like that. That shadow going down there. Not really sure if No, I don't know if I like that at all. It's okay. We might go over that again though. No, that doesn't seem, well, to me anyway, it doesn't seem to be working, that part there, so I want to scrap that. I'll go back over that again. I'm just using some Australian dark leaf green, as I said I would, just to go over this tree in part. Not an overly strong mix. Carefully taking the masking tape off. Always makes it easier to see if there's a nice clean border around your watercolour. So that's virtually it. I might make a couple of little changes. We can put that hut that we were looking at the beginning of the painting in a bit later. So there it is. We've darkened up the right hand side even more of that riverbank. There it is close up. Just a nice loose watercolour of some trees reflecting into a body of water. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe, and we'll see you back again very, very soon. Thank you for watching.